It was a blustery day in Washington, D.C. Outside the White House, reporters packed tightly behind barricades as the press conference began. Microphones hovered, camera shutters snapped, aides darted between clusters, balancing coffee cups and clipboards. At the podium, President Donald Trump spoke with familiar certainty, addressing questions one after another. Hidden among the sea of press badges stood Clarissa Ray, a 28-year-old journalist, usually praised for her flawless composure on live TV. But today, her mask was cracking. Her hands trembled as she gripped her microphone, her mascara leaving faint dark trails on her cheeks. No one seemed to notice, or maybe they simply didn't care. Clarissa shouldn't have even been there. Her mother was in a hospital ICU, fighting to survive a sudden stroke. Clarissa had pleaded for the day off, but her editor insisted. "This is huge. Missing it could cost you everything." So here she was, sleep-deprived, chest heavy with fear, trying to appear unbreakable. Trump finished an answer about trade and infrastructure. As he gestured toward another raised hand, his eyes caught Clarissa's face. He paused, eyebrows furrowing. "Are you all right?" he called out, his voice rising over the crowd. "Why are you crying?" Silence rippled across the press line. Lenses swung toward her. Clarissa's heart jumped into her throat. This wasn't in any script. Her voice came out brittle. "It's personal, sir." To everyone's shock, Trump stepped away from the podium. Secret Service agents shifted anxiously, but he ignored them and walked directly toward her. "What's your name?" he asked, his tone unexpectedly gentle. "Clarissa," she managed to say. He nodded slowly. "You don't have to explain it here, but if you ever need someone to really listen, you have my attention." That simple, unscripted moment would change the story entirely. Headlines the next day wouldn't be about tariffs or unemployment rates. They'd center on her. Clarissa's phone buzzed nonstop. Colleagues whispered behind her back. Who is she? Why did Trump stop the briefing for her? Newsrooms speculated wildly. Meanwhile, Clarissa sat in her mother's hospital room, clutching Susan's limp hand. Machines beeped steadily. "You always told me to care about stories that matter, Mom," she whispered, voice breaking. "I think today I accidentally became one." Then her phone rang. Unknown number. "This is Clarissa," she answered, wary. A familiar voice replied calmly. "Clarissa, it's Donald Trump. I meant what I said. I respect that this is personal, but if you ever need anything, even privately, I want to help." Her breath caught. "My mom, her name is Susan. She had a stroke. I nearly didn't come today." There was a pause, then quietly, "Susan Ray, thank you for telling me. If there's anything she needs, please let me know." Then the line went dead. Clarissa just stared at the phone in her hand, wondering if that really just happened. Was he being human? The next morning at the hospital, a nurse hurried up to her. "You're the reporter from the White House, right? The president called last night, ordered a private room for your mother, and said to spare no expense." Clarissa felt her knees go weak. "He did what?" By noon, her network demanded she go on air and give her side. "No, I'm not a story," she insisted. But other outlets didn't wait. They ran segments. Trump's surprising act of compassion. Reporters' tears stopped the president. Clarissa was disgusted by the sensationalism. She decided if anyone was telling her story, it would be her. She sat under the studio lights, not as a polished correspondent, but simply as Susan Ray's daughter. "I've always believed journalism should uncover truth, not just chase headlines," she began. "Yesterday, something happened that stunned even me. My mother, Susan Ray, taught school for 30 years. She's now in a coma. When I stood there crying, President Trump didn't ignore it. No politics, no agenda, just one human asking another why they were hurting." Her voice cracked. "Sometimes all it takes is one question to remind us we're still human beneath it all." The room fell absolutely silent. Online, it caught fire. Not because it was scandalous, but because it was painfully real. That evening, digging through her mother's paperwork for insurance files, Clarissa found an envelope. On it, handwritten, "If I'm ever in the hospital, open this." Her fingers shook as she tore it open. "Dear Clarissa," it read, "if you're reading this, I'm probably lying somewhere while you're worrying that incredible heart of yours into pieces. Don't forget to live. Speak out. You were always meant to be more than a reporter. Be a voice for people. And if someone kind surprises you in the darkness, let them. Let the world surprise you. Clarissa clutched the letter, tears streaming. Maybe it was never about Trump or a press gaggle. Maybe it was about letting people in. The next day, a crisp white envelope arrived. Inside was an invitation to a private White House gathering. The note read, "Thank you for your honesty." She almost threw it away. Was it real? Just for cameras? Her mother's words echoed, "Let them surprise you." So she went. Trump greeted her personally. "No press today, no cameras. You're not here as a reporter. You're here because you reminded me this isn't just about politics." Inside, Clarissa saw something startling. A wall covered with letters from farmers, teachers, veterans, ordinary people. "I started collecting these again," Trump said, a little sheepishly. "I'd forgotten why I did all this. Add yours." Clarissa took a pen and wrote on a card, "We're each only one story away from truly being seen. Clarissa Ray." She pinned it to the wall and stepped back. Maybe empathy didn't need grand gestures. Maybe it just needed us to stop and listen. Back at her station, not everyone was pleased. Some praised her bravery. Others sneered, "You just humanized a divisive man." Clarissa shook her head. "No, I acknowledged a human moment. That's very different." Her boss pulled her aside. "Whatever you did, it struck a nerve. America wants more of it. We're giving you your own segment, stories that matter." Clarissa felt a swell of purpose. Maybe this was why she was here all along. 3 days later, Clarissa sat at her mother's bedside, reading aloud her latest piece on compassion and truth. Suddenly, Susan's hand twitched. Her eyelids fluttered open. "Mom," Clarissa gasped. Susan's voice was weak but steady. "Did you tell your story?" Clarissa nodded, sobbing. "Because of you." Doctors called it a miracle. Clarissa simply called it hope. Her new segment aired nationwide. "Forget policy for a second," she told viewers. "What we're starving for is connection." That press conference didn't change laws, it changed hearts. Letters flooded in from nurses, firefighters, college kids. "Thank you for reminding us we're not alone." Even late-night comedians referenced it, respectfully. She launched a scholarship for young journalists who valued truth over clicks, naming it the Susan Ray Voice Award. Donations poured in, including a personal check from the White House. The most precious? A crumpled envelope with $5 and a note from a child. "Because your story made me feel noticed." Clarissa returned to her mother's old school. Standing on that familiar auditorium stage, she faced rows of wide eyes. "Real truth begins when we care enough to see each other," she told them. A little girl raised her hand. "Is it okay to cry in public?" Clarissa smiled. "Sometimes that's the bravest truth of all." Newsrooms everywhere began running features on unsung heroes. Clarissa's inbox brimmed with tales of janitors rescuing kids, veterans comforting strangers, stories finally finding their voice. Then one afternoon, as she wrapped her show, an assistant burst in. "Someone's here to see you, Morpheo." Trump walked in unannounced. "I figured you should hear it in person. I'm starting a new initiative, Voices of America, to honor everyday people. I want you to help lead it." Clarissa blinked. "Let's do it." Months later, Susan sat up in bed, surrounded by stacks of letters. "You really did it," she whispered. "You showed them what matters." Clarissa grinned. "Because you showed me first." Netflix turned her journey into a documentary, under one condition from her. No embellishments, just truth. It shattered viewing records and, more importantly, healed hearts. As she signed off her final segment before taking a year to write a book, her closing words were simple. "If you ever see someone crying, don't look away. Ask them why." That one question might change everything. A year later, at a university commencement, Clarissa read her mother's letter aloud. Then she looked out at hundreds of bright, eager faces. "May you always find the courage to be human first." The crowd erupted into a standing ovation. In the back, a girl held a sign. "Future journalist, because of you." Clarissa later used scholarship funds to build a garden beside her mother's old school, a place called Susan's Garden of Stories. Each flower bed bore a plaque with a student's name, blooming in brilliant colors. Years later, at a book signing, a small boy came up to her shyly. "Are you the lady who cried and made everything change?" Clarissa laughed softly. "I guess I am." He beamed. I want to tell stories too. She handed him her pen. Then start. You're just one story away. And in that instant, Clarissa knew that tear had never been weakness. It had always been a seed. And now, finally, the world was in bloom.